That was a good ETO video. I'm gonna make my own ETO video. But I don't look like I'm copying them, so... Yippee! Nah bro, that won't do. Doge. Check mine out. Ending time Oct2. To put it bluntly, it's MTT x KTT x FTT x other messy AUs. Phase 1, untitled for now. Insanity, Hard Mode, UKB, Murder, ULB, TITR, Horror, Killer. Phase 1.5, untitled for now. Insanity, UKB, Murder, ULB, Killer. Phase 2, Octuple the Hatred. Insanity, UKB, Phase 2. Hardtail, Sans, Murder, Ultra, ULB Phase 2. Agem, Killer. The rest of the phases weren't thought out. Phase 1, Song Image, WIP. 1.5, 2 songs done. Although the quality ain't good, but I still hope you can support it. If you're interested in listening, DM me. Doge. This one simple post was the first mention of Ending Time Octet publicly. This simple Billy post started one of the most insane and controversial things to come out of this fandom. I love Ending Time Octet, you love Ending Time Octet, or you completely hate it. Either way, if you clicked on this video, you're at least curious about Ending Time Octet. And I've spent a long ass time aware of it, without completely understanding it inside and out. But now I am. At least more so. I may still make mistakes, I'm far from perfect, but what I do know is that this will be the longest video I've ever made, potentially the best, hopefully the most successful. I plan for this video to be like a point of reference. If you don't understand something about Ending Time Octet, then you can come here and listen to this section. Because yes, I will be timestamping this. I will do my best to present the facts as accurately as possible to my knowledge. This isn't going to be an opinion video, more of an objective look at the AU I personally love. But there are points when I will fall into opinions, because it's kind of unavoidable for me. Anyway, first I want to say a few things. A few disclaimers, a few anecdotes, get them out of the way now, before we get to the actual meat of it. Oh yeah, and please like and subscribe, watch my other videos, etc. This video took me way too long to research, script, record and edit, so at least please consider it. Comment your favourite theme from Ending Time Octet 2, I'm curious what the consensus is, and also, if you have any other octets that you like, then comment those as well, and I'll maybe check them out in a future video. In this video, we're going to be going into a few AUs whose creators have since been removed from or left the community due to some terrible things they've done. I want to make it clear that me talking about AUs they've made does not reflect my opinions on them as people. I'm simply covering the creation for the sake of a thorough breakdown, not out of any personal feelings towards them as people. Secondly, you may have noticed, this isn't Cage of Abyss. And no, Cage of Abyss isn't dead. Ending Time Octet and Immiserable Hell will still be being worked on, to my knowledge. There is a new Cage of Abyss Discord server where they said that they will be continuing work on these projects in a new channel. As far as I know, I wouldn't be expecting any new Cage of Abyss content from the Team Karma channel. I speak like these are my channels, they're not, so I can't really speak facts on that. But from my observations, this is what I can tell. As I said before, I've tried to gather my information as accurately as possible. However, there are 1 or 2 cases where information was so hard to find that I'm going off unreliable sources. I will mention when this is the case, so take those explanations with a grain of salt. But for the sake of getting the full story, I'm going to cover the fanon phases and outdated content as well. Not AUs or takes, but like fanon additional phases, or unused or unofficial content. When something fits the description, I'll highlight it, and then you'll know that it's not canon. I won't be covering Immiserable Hell, the chapter 3, because I don't consider it a part of Ending Time Octet, and it's unfinished. End and Beginning will be included, because I feel it's linked far closer, and it's also finished. So I can talk about it with more confidence. Final thing regarding this, there are 3 different seasons of Ending Time Octet from my research. The video will mainly focus on seasons 2 and 3, but I will talk about season 1 as well, because that's the one that everyone's forgotten about basically, and I want to talk about all of Ending Time Octet. Either way, there aren't that many differences between season 1 and 2 really, besides from a few of the members being swapped around or being different. I will also be using abbreviations since it's easier than saying the full name repeatedly. However, I will leave a list in the description of what each abbreviation stands for, so that if you do get confused you can just check there. Before we begin, I do want to go into my research process, which was extremely painful. I used all the videos on the Team Karma channel read back through all of their old community posts. There were some AUs that, as you can expect, given some of the ones that appear later, were super difficult to find info on, but eventually I managed. So now I know about every single AU in Ending Time Octet, so I can answer people's questions on them now. Finding them was extremely painful, obviously. I asked in the Team Karma server, since they used to be the COA server, I thought maybe they'd know, and I got the most helpless answers possible. I asked in the Viperine Hero server, since they have loads of smart people in there too, also got helpless answers. I asked around other Discord servers, either no response or more helpless answers. I made a post in the Sad Times All Around community, reasoning that because they're a Bilibili real load channel, some people would know what these Chinese AUs are. And I got something, but Undertale AU Ace T, they were very helpful and provided info after Hypocrisy and Legend of Crystal, which did turn out to be accurate. However, they did get it from ChatGPT, so I wasn't satisfied with that at the time. I made a Bilibili account, let China steal my phone number and my data, so that I could read the Bilibili comments for lore, and found nothing. I made a Reddit post in the AU and Undertale subreddits, nothing really helpful there either. I waited to get response, and eventually I saw that Cage of Abyss had made a new server, so I joined it and I asked there. They said in their questions channel I'd get a response in 24 hours. I still have not gotten a response, so I jokingly complained about it in the Viperine server, and someone else saw it. This guy, I'm not going to say their name because it's way too, random, but this guy sent me links to info of every single AU that I was asking about that I didn't know, except for Unknown Timeline, because there's just nothing. There's literally just nothing. So, yeah, it's quite ironic that Unknown Timeline remains unknown. But yeah, the only thing I could find on Unknown Timeline was a single YouTube comment, so that's what I'm going to be using, but take that obviously with a heavy grain of salt. With that mountain turned into a mere speed bump, we can begin, finally. So let's start at the beginning. Not the end in the beginning, just the beginning. The wonderful Reverse, phase 0.5. And I could finally talk about who Observer Gaster is, so I hope you enjoy the video. There is a high-dimensional creature in the void outside of the multiverse. By chance, he found the multiverse in a three-dimensional space. He was attracted by various parallel universes. Then he observed and recorded the multiverse. The creature established his lab in the void, the Misery Abyss, and named himself Observer Gaster. However, OG quickly discovered that the multiverse isn't as beautiful as it seems. Similar low-quality parallel universes increased extremely quickly like cancer cells, seriously endangering the prosperity of the multiverse. So his experiment had a clear goal: create an ultimate creation to purify the multiverse. That was the original story. OG would summon Santas from across the multiverse to eventually result in an ultimate creation to purify the multiverse. I have heard several opinions on what this means, some saying that it's as simple as ending the genocides of the humans. However, when I read it, I interpret it as OG wanted to create an entity capable of erasing low-quality universes, basically purifying the multiverse of slop AUs because of oversaturation. The Misery Abyss is OG's laboratory, where he runs his experiments from, which becomes far more important in Chapter 3 in Miserable Hell. But you may have noticed that I said that this was the original story. COA released an updated description of Phase 0.5. There's a lot in this new lore, so I'll simplify it, but basically OG wanted to test the limits of the Misery Abyss. Assuming that the max potential performance is N, he'll allocate 1 over N of it to the Judgment Void's exclusive use. As far as I can tell, the Judgment Void is simply the name given to the area where the experiment takes place. There is a huge Omnilivania project called Judgment Void, but as far as I can tell it's completely unrelated. He allocates 1 over N of the Misery Abyss's power to it. Once he learns the experiment capacity of the Judgment Void, he can multiply it by N and find the performance capacity of the Misery Abyss. Basic algebra, basically. OG will take the purest act of creation from creators across the multiverse, these being participants in his experiment. He will, however, take old versions of these creations. Aggregations of these creations are called trios. The creations are extensions of the creator's thoughts and wills. OG requires the energy and power of these creations when they accumulate. His goal to max out the performance capacity of the Judgment Void. The power this creates is thought to be the strongest in the multiverse. The experiment requires that the creations not undergo significant changes in a short time frame, which is why he opts for the older versions or completed AUs, since the creators won't make changes immediately. The Misery Abyss is still under construction, so therefore just bombarding it with power would be unnecessary. He's only testing the achievable limit, not trying to completely destroy it. He reasons that an entity with the greatest potential would possess determination, which, with his knowledge, he knows trios are invariably tied to. And these completed or created old versions of trios are left floating in the multiverse, so he can just load them into the Judgment Void for his experiment. The initial subjects will be 8 Sans variants, representing the typical number of special subjects in a standard experiment. Having them fight among themselves would block them from reaching their full potential, so he loads a copy of Kara from Murder Time Trio at level 1980. He provides the Sans with subconscious guidance, ensuring that they all attack Kara and not each other, and he enhances their combat capabilities. As the experiment progresses, determination content will increase, and the later phases will slow down into introducing new members, instead focusing on amplifying the existing determination in the battle. By phase 4 and 5, he estimates Murder Time Trio, Combatic Time Trio, and Call of the Void will have significantly greater determination. Fusions will continue to possess more, and continue to fuse with one another. He theorises that the DT content of these may surpass Kara's, and along with the Chaos from Murder Time Trio, it will greatly consume the Judgment Void's performance. This, combined with alterations he made to the power and mindset, will reach a determination content of 10 flow. I don't know what flow is, it's just the unit they use. If this does occur and the determination matches Kara's, he'll introduce a determination chord, which will deliver a final surge of determination, which I'll get more into later. To facilitate fusion induction, he introduces 2 beings with highly similar properties, and by phase 4 they'll strike a chord and fuse, demonstrating immense power and inspiring the other subjects to do the same. The test will continue until the surface layer of the Misery Abyss is breached. If either party is annihilated, he can just roll back the experiment and restart it. So basically, the explanation for if you die during the fight, he just turns back time and starts the experiment over again. That's all on, the intro. I hope I made it concise enough. But yeah, basically OG wants to test the capacity of the Judgment Void so that you can find the capacity of the Misery Abyss. That's about it. Let's move on to phase 1. To test the stability of the surface, OG straight up transferred the stats of Murder Time Trio Kara 1980 and most parallel universes Kara's 1988's main enemy's stats as well, then conducted a mass-scaled experiment. In a Murder Time Trio timeline, Kara 1980, who was just about to have a battle with the Murder Time Trio, suddenly got teleported to the Judgment Void, where they will face 8 familiar faces. This was explained in the previous phase, however it's slightly different now compared to when this was written. OG loaded the files of the trios into the Judgment Void along with Murder Time Trio Kara LB 1980, and the 2 sides fight. Now then, let's get into each of these AUs, and then the trios themselves. Good thing this phase is so short and has nothing going on, so we can focus all the time on introducing the new members. Oh yeah, and Murders in the Rain, Murders in the Hidden Rain is the name of the Season 1 theme for Phase 1, but the members are the same, so it doesn't matter. Dovetail Sans or Murder Sans is a Sans who, dependent on the take, but generally, learns about the genocides and decides that the only way to beat you is to do his own genocide, killing every monster to eventually overpower you and your determination. There are many takes on it, like I said, but this is the general story template. Undertale Last Breath is a timeline in which the fun values equated so that Gaster's door would appear in Waterfall. The human on their 30th genocide run opened the door looking for more victims, and Gaster escaped. He went to Sans and reminded him of all the previous genocide runs, and then Sans vows to fight until his last breath. I'll go into more details on the phases themselves as we go on through the video, as the phases of ETO progress. Phase 1 is basically the same as classic Sans, just a little stronger given his new knowledge. Undertale Karma's a Bitch is an AU in which Sans remembers the resets, and access new Karma abilities which he used to defeat you. That's preview anyway. That's the only one used. As I mentioned before, OG used the old or complete versions of these AUs, and Reboot UKB is currently in development, so it isn't relevant, but I'll still cover it for the sake of a complete video. So in this version, Sans encounters Undyne in Waterfall, and they fight you together after Undyne yells at Sans about his nihilism. Sans runs away when he gets tired, and Undyne dies. The human chases Sans and slashes his eye, kicking him off a cliff in Waterfall. He falls unconscious and is found by some old cult members, with their own prophecy that rejects the Deltarune prophecy. Sans trains his abilities in justice under them, and eventually uses them to defeat you permanently, at the cost of his own life, as the cult's prophecy comes to pass and the underground is raptured. This is a heavily oversimplified description, and the AU itself is undergoing writing changes at the minute, so I implore you to research for yourself, as I would with anything and everything that I tell you here. Learn it for yourself. This is as far as I'll talk about it, because Preboot's the one that's used, not Reboot, so this one's irrelevant. Moving on. Tears in the Rain Sans is from a neutral timeline. It's an example of an AU called Conceptualized Neutral Run, and is essentially just another name for it. They're interchangeable. There is no canon lore, because every take is different. Some take place in Snowdin, some take place in Waterfall, some take place in Hotland, some even take place in New Home. But the one thing that connects them all is Sans fights you in a neutral run. Except one or two takes that I've seen that make Tears in the Rain the Sans fight in Disbelief Papyrus' timeline, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Sans is hard. HM Sans is simply a Sans fight that's more difficult, Sans hard mode. There isn't any deep lore, and there are many takes on it. However, it's just simple as a more difficult Sans fight. Undertale Sans is from a post-neutral run timeline, where Frisk befriended all the monsters, but killed Asgore to escape the underground. Toriel took the throne, but after the betrayal by Frisk, they weren't very popular, and so Undyne overthrew them, and took the throne for herself, declaring that humans should be killed to escape again, because obviously the human souls had gone after Omega Flowey. Things weren't going well, and the core failed, and monsters relied on the core for their magic, their food, basically. So, starvation. Alphys and Undyne worked together to try and fix the core, and even Sans started doing his part, giving the monsters food and rations, but it didn't help with the core. Grilby being entirely made of fire was an excruciating pain due to the lack of magic, and basically traumatized Sans into helping with the core. And he soon learned that Alphys had a plan to use Sans's eye because it's powerful, I guess, but it would cost Sans his life, obviously. Sans got extremely paranoid by this, of course, and desperately drew up plans to deconstruct and rebuild the core, basically. Undyne was getting desperate, however, because deconstructing it would take a long time, and eventually they attacked Sans, giving him that hole in his skull. They won and took Sans's eye, but somehow Sans survived and stole the eye of a nearby royal guard. And he then proceeded to destroy the core and give Alphys a lobotomy. He then returned to Snowdin, declaring that any human who fell would be eaten to survive. There's a lot of details that I didn't cover due to the sheer amount of lore, but there are plenty of videos that go into it in far more detail than I have. I'm sure most, if not all of you, at least know what Horror Tale is anyway. There are two different Killer Sans timelines, or something new timelines as the AU is called. I'm going to assume that this is from a post-good ending, for reasons that I'll get into later. So after many Genocide runs, the player edits Sans's code, and Kara makes a deal with them to experience something new. Basically, Sans became Kara's puppet instead of Frisk. In the bad ending, this continues and they keep committing genocides together. However, in the good ending, Sans catches Kara off guard and kills them, resetting the world and before leaving his AU filled with grief and guilt. Once again, I left out a ton of detail, so go either read the comic or look for a different video, because many have covered this in far more detail than I have the time for. This video is already going to be way too long. My voice is already getting sore. Insanity Sans is from a timeline where Gaster ran experiments with determination, trying to find a way to break the barrier by safely injecting it into a monster. Sans was the first test subject to not immediately amalgamate, meaning that he got moved on to phase 2 of the project, where his determination power will be honed, and he would train under Undyne in strength and save files, basically. However, things took a turn, and sessions became increasingly infrequent, and Sans began isolating himself more and more often. Sans blamed Gaster for his increased isolation because of the increased infrequency of his tests, and he basically went insane completely, killed a ton of monsters. He didn't kill Papyrus. He didn't kill Papyrus. He's alive. But just... yeah. That's poor Papyrus. That's all the members in Phase 1. I will go into more detail about their lore through the phases, if they have them. I'll keep updating you on their condition. One more thing to cover before we start is the trios that feature. Murder Time Trio, Karmatic Time Trio, Chaotic Time Trio, and Former Time Trio. Fanon lore in Murder Time Trio is that Nightmare assembled them. Let's get that out of the way. It's simple as that. The canon lore is what we're focusing on. Especially since it's Kara who's in the Octet at the end of a Genocide. So, at the end of a Genocide run, Kara encounters Gaster. Gaster recently discovered of the existence of AUs and wants Kara to destroy half of them for his research. Fucking psychopath. He grants them a deletion ability to delete any of the AUs that cause them harm, and he grants them the ability to travel between the worlds at all, obviously. After a while, they decide to try and destroy all of them. After achieving the goal of destroying half, they contact Gaster and sent him the data they collected. But upon doing this, they appeared in a judgment hall where Horror, Killer, and Dust Sans all stood. 3 AUs that Kara had destroyed. Gaster planned to collect the data of the 3 Sanses. Kara struggled most to kill, and set them all to fight Kara. Basically, his main goal was to test if restoring their data after deletion was successful, hoping that he would be able to restore his own. He removed Kara's reset and deletion abilities, same with Killer and Dust Sans, and set them to fight. That's all that we'll cover for now. That's all that matters for Phase 1. So there are 2 different versions of Karmatic Time Trio, the pre-boot and the reboot. As is the case with UKB, the pre-boot is the important one here. But unlike UKB, I'm not going to cover the reboot, because the members and progression is very different. So UKB and ULB Sans fought the human and eventually lost. In the next timeline, UKB searches for more AUs that share a similar goal. That's an ability he has, don't question it. And he found hard mode Sans. The 3 fought the human together. It's far simpler than Murder Time, but for now the members are ULB, UKB, and HM. The Chaotic Time Trio doesn't have much lore in terms of background. You fight Red, you fight Undyne, you fight Betrayer Sans, who we'll talk about later, and then you find Call of the Void, Betrayer Sans, and Tears in the Rain Sans in the True Lab together. Of course, we haven't talked about Call of the Void or Betrayer yet, so there isn't much to say, but we'll get into more detail on it down the line. As I stated in the trio ranking segment on it, the former Time Trio's lore is super confusing. But basically the 3 Sanses, Dust Sans, Insanity Sans, and ULB all meet, and they all fight the human together. That's about it. It's probably the simplest trio here. There isn't much to say about it as we go on, because each member just progresses through 3 phases. So I'll likely omit it when I talk about it in future. But it is relevant because it's mentioned in the original post, etc. So it's worth at least mentioning. Phew. Through all the characters and relevant introductions. Okay, let's move on to maybe not what you're expecting. In ETO Phase 1, as Kara was finishing off the enemy, OG realised that Kara's actions were highly purposeful. OG eagerly anticipated Kara's next move and activated a precognitive ability, knowing that Kara would kill CNR, HM, and Horror Sans. Wanting to witness the test subject's death throes, he pulled the 3 skeletons aside and explained the situation to each of them. Initially disbelieving, 3 skeletons returned to the battlefield to continue fighting until Kara's actions matched the mysterious figure's prediction perfectly, and they could clearly sense Kara's murderous intent towards them. Then, as the last skeleton exited, they returned. So this phase is not canon, but as I said, I want to cover fanon phases too, so here it is. OG noticed how confident and planned each of Kara's moves were, and he knew the trio scripts meant that Tears in the Rain hard mode and Horror would die first. So he pulled them aside and explained, "You're part of my experiment, I'm just using you for your power." Haha, no hard feelings, right guys? They responded with understandable skepticism, but returned to the battlefield regardless. The three fight well, knowing their fate, and eventually get hit, but aren't done yet. Layers of bloodied sin, washed by endless rain, alchemical vows fulfilled, all illusions void. It hurts me to have to do this. You little brat, that really hurt. So yeah, a long time ago, some guy beat the king, got out of the underground. But you know what? Forget it. There's no point. Horror-sans gets a cool as fuck chainsaw, and the reinforcements show up briefly to help. Call of the Void, Ainavol, and Ultra Sans, but Ultra's pre-transformation. But OG had perfectly predicted Kara's actions, and the three fell. Of course they all die during this phase, but this isn't canon. In the official one they don't die yet, they die in phase 1.5. But we'll go over in more detail that now. Back on track of the official ETO. When Phase 1 ended, Kara 1980 used a part of the suddenly recovered powers to delete Horror-sans, while also using a sweeping edge attack and hitting ULB, UKB, UHM, and CNR. Among the four, UHM and CNR turned to dust immediately, ULB and UKB entering Phase 2. During that, COTV, AGEM, and Ultra Sans joined the battle. Kara used a sweeping edge attack to attack everyone on the field at once. HM, UKB, ULB, and TITR are hit. TITR and HM die, as said. Horror, however, is immortal, due to his eye being stuck in the destroyed core. Without destroying that eye, Horror can't be killed. Unless you happen to have deletion powers, of course, and you can just erase him from existence. Yeah, Kara kind of just gets that ability back and deletes him. Yorby survives on decimalized HP, as is his lore. UKB survives using one of his karma abilities, Good Karma, to heal himself, and continues fighting. Insanity enters his Your Fault or Phase 2 form. After this, Call of the Void, Agem and Ultra Sans appear, and Call of the Void takes HM and TITR's souls for safekeeping for later. Now let's explain those newcomers. Void takes place after many Genocide runs. Gaster contacts Sans from the Void and informs him of the resets. Sans then goes on to extract your determination using the determination extractor in the True Lab, and uses it to bring Gaster back from the Void, and to revive Pyrus briefly. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. All we need to know for now is that he revives Gaster by extracting your determination. Agem is a no-AU Sans, and as such his lore is very sparse. There is the preboot and the reboot of Agem, and as is the status quo, OG used the preboot Agem in ETO. Preboot has a yellow flaming aura, that being a representative of justice. Reboot Agem has a blue aura representing patience. Reboot is stronger than preboot because Sans is already closer aligned to patience than to justice, but that's not important. All that needs to be known is Agem has a flaming justice aura. Ultra Sans is from a Genocide AU, so original I know, where after being attacked, Sans transforms into whatever that is. There are many different interpretations I've found. Sans transforming because of determination, using the human souls, it being his true form, but the original animation just seems to imply that Ultra Sans is like a backup last resort plan for if all else fails, Sans will become Ultra Sans and rock your shit. Though considering that his eyes glow red in the animation, determination isn't out of the question, but the immediate understanding and calmness implies that Sans knows what's going to happen and what he's capable of. So yeah, Ultra Sans is like a last resort backup plan in case Sans' Genocide fight ends badly. I suppose we should also cover updates on how the trios continue. So after Kara in MTT deletes Horror Sans, the hull becomes unstable because Kara wasn't meant to have that ability anymore. Once the hull does reset, Insanity Sans is stood there in Horror Sans' place. Of course, in ETO, Insanity Sans is already there in Phase 1, so just pretend that he isn't. But now he is. So, unpretend that he isn't. After HM dies in Phase 1, UKB summons Animal as backup. Animal is a character we'll get to later, but here Agem comes instead for ATO, because it seems despite calling the main role, the design, in this OST at least, is Agem. It's confusing I know, but just doesn't matter. Agem is here in ETO, it is Agem. So after Phase 1, TITR dies, taking a hit for COTV. Of course COTV's only just arrived, but it doesn't matter. Chaotic Tantra is kinda all out of order until Phase 4 of ETO. It's fine. UKB has also only just arrived in CTT Phase 2, and Betrayer also still hasn't arrived in ETO. But it doesn't matter. Call of the Void is here now. Let's move on to Phase 2. No snazzy intro description here, that's a shame. But it does probably have the least to talk about of any of the phases anyway, besides a few minor details. Octuple the Hatred is the Phase 2 song of ETO in Season 1, and Bloodily Sinking is the modern one. I mentioned COTV took TITR and HM souls in Phase 1.5. Technically he takes them here at the start of Phase 2, but it doesn't matter. Either way, he's now in possession of both of their souls. True heroes, are they not? It's fine, kid. For this is not their end. Choose to obey, or choose to die. Hell is where you belong. It all continues. Call the void powers up the extractor for, well, extraction of your determination. Killer blocks hit for UKB, that's cool. I don't mean to dismiss this phase or anything, it's not bad, just nothing happens really that progresses ETO, the members, or the trios themselves. There is a small thing we could discuss to do with scripts, I guess. So basically the Former Time Trio script takes priority over the Murder Time Trio script. So therefore, Insanity and Dust Sands are technically members of the Former Time Trio here and not Murder Time, leading to some instability with Killer. And with A-Gem present instead of Ainavol, ULB and UKB are also a little unstable given that their missing trio member is substituted. I guess this is just a way to explain the differences in design and power between the characters in our original trios and in Ending Time Octet. One interesting thing to discuss. If you remember the message from the start of the video and look at this fangin, you may notice, who's this fella? That's Hardtail Sands. No, not HM. This one's different. In Season 1 of Ending Time Octet, they were in Call the Void's place in Phase 2. It's interesting to think about how the Octet will progress from that, but we'll get into that anyway, so you don't need to think about it. Either way, they were replaced. And it seems quite quickly, because this game and the comment that I showed at the start of the video are really the only two mentions of him I could find. Even in like remixes of Octuple the Hatred, he's replaced with Call the Void. Oh yeah. Also there's an awesome name for Phase 2 Season 1, Octuple the Butchers, but it's the same thing really, it doesn't really matter. Anyway. Hardtail Sands is a Sands from a timeline that's basically a take on a full version of Undertale hard mode. You know, that thing where you name yourself Frisk and then you play through a hard mode version of the ruins before the game ends after fighting Toriel. Yeah, this is a take on a full version of that. This is different from HM Sands. HM Sands is just a hard mode of the Sands fight specifically, whereas this one's from like a hard mode take of the entirety of Undertale. Anyway, now that that's cleared up, we don't have to mention him again until we get onto more Season 1 content. Yay! At the end of Phase 2, Ultra tried to see the deadly Seamless attack, but Toby, actually it's a fake Toby controlled by OG, showed up just in time and stopped him, kicking Ultra from the game. So in the original Ultra Sands animation, Ultra Sands is, after destroying all of your buttons and your battle box, he grabs your soul and charges a powerful blast to kill you, which is thwarted by the Toby Fox annoying dog, who climbs into a crack in Santa's skull and uses the legendary artifact they absorbed in Waterfall, which kills Sans. This is basically that. If Ultra Sands were to kill you, the experiment would end early, and running it back wouldn't solve anything because they'd just do the same attack again. So therefore, OG summons a Toby Fox dog and controls it to defeat Ultra Sands in the same way as his OG AU. So now Ultra Sands has left the battle. This then gives way to the Phase 3s, which we'll get to soon. Now with Ultra Sands gone, the other Sandsers are exhausted. and Kara could choose who to attack. They were too exhausted to use another sweeping edge, and OG had already prepared pseudo AUs, basically fake ones, since the Sanders can't actually leave the Misery Abyss themselves. This gives them a way to the alternate phase 3s. The Sanders that is attacked doesn't have the energy to leave and stays behind to stall for time, while the rest leaves these AUs to find support. There are 8 different phase 3s, so let's start talking about them. After phase 2, Kara 1980 and the Sansers were exhausted. Kara 1980 only could attack one of the Sansers, others would teleport to seek assistance to the simulated AUs. Sansers who had been attacked had no strength left to teleport, staying here to procrastinate. Since Killer Sansers committed genocide, they achieved a high HP, while Kara got debuffed and tired out, being unable to get through Murder, Killer, and Insanity's HP in one hit. So Kara chooses to attack Killer Sans. He looks weak, but eventually gets to his feet, determined to stall for time. Such a goat. Kara can get through all of his HP in one hit because obviously he's committed a ton of genocide runs. He has a high LV, so he has way more HP than some of the other Sansers. There's a part towards the end where he looks sad and reflective, which is why I assume that this is Killer from the Good Ending timeline. But as I mentioned before, this would mean that he killed Kara and left the timeline in guilt and shame. So I guess the context just makes his commitment to stalling even deeper in meaning. Anyway, that's about it for this phase. There's not that much going on compared to some others, so let's move on. After phase 2, Kara 1980 and the Sansers were exhausted. Kara 1980 could only attack one of the Sansers. Others would teleport to seek assistance to the simulated AUs. Sansers who had been attacked have no strength to teleport, staying here to procrastinate. Because of Gaster, attacking COTV was useless. COTV would extract Kara's determination to revive HM. For COTV, HM devoted his life to block one hit. Yes, COTV has 3 phase 3 themes. However, only Void Echoes is official. Untitled Composition doesn't have much to say about it, it's just a song. A good song, but just a song. Resurrection of the Fallen has a little more going on, so we'll cover that before we go into the official one, even if both are extremely similar in terms of lore. So COTV extracts some of Kara's determination and uses it to revive HM Sans. Remember how we had the souls of him and TITR earlier? Yeah. So HM's now a lost soul, and through the phase, COTV Gaster is trying to bring him to his senses. Eventually they succeed, and HM fights you with all he has. Except compared to what happens in Void Echoes, yeah, I agree with your random comment. Oh, and Flower's here for some reason, and Kingstown from Luton Trio, even though it would make a lot more sense for him to appear in ULB's phase 3. Anyway, HM eventually tanks a hit for COTV and dies again. Okay, let's get into the actual phase 3. You are funny. You think this fight is yours? Determination Extractor has been started. Then there's the hardest intro of all time. Experiment begins. The lost soul is trembling. It seems that we are in trouble. Like I said before, Call the Void revives hard mode with Kara's determination. COTV Gaster then goes on to try and bring HM to his senses. He also nullifies a hit for COTV Sans while they're distracted, and he locks the fuck in. always aware of the person you are. Even if I gave you one more chance, you will still choose that button. Well, I have nothing to say with the demon. Then I'll show you the fury of this hero in the infernal flames of hell. Even before coming to his senses, HM is doing twice as much as ROTF ever did. And eventually, Gaster succeeds in his goal and brings him back. Eh? How? The determination? Undertale hard mode stance has found himself. I understand. Now they can both give you hell. Claw the Void gets kinda nervous, HM's soul's still weak, and if he overexerts himself, he'll fall once again. But do you really think someone with this look on their face is gonna hold back? COTV assists either way. How's HM doing? Oh, he's somehow locked in even more. Even if the Phoenix can Nirvana again and again, they still can't stop your slaughter. You're gonna push over and take your best shot. HM tanks a hit for COTV, but still keeps fighting. Fucking pest. How the fuck is he locking in even more? And even more power. Well, you hit HM again, and he actually dies this time. COTV exhausted, of course, stops. The fight ends. Well, that was certainly a roller coaster. So yeah, COTV Phase 3. He revives HM, gives you hell before he falls once more. But hey, he still has TITR's soul. Bet you can guess where this is going. After Phase 2, Kara in 1980 and the Sansas were exhausted. Kara in 1980 could only attack one of the Sansas. Others would teleport away to seek assistance to the simulated AUs. Sansas who had been attacked had no strength to teleport, staying here to procrastinate. UKB would modify his HP and defense to defend one hit. He heals himself once more with good karma, and then injects himself with some determination. This gives him access to code powers. Don't ask how, but it just kinda does. Then either he summons or hallucinations of ULB and A-Gem appear. Most likely summons, for reasons I'll get to. So yeah. After that, UKB locks the fuck in and still eventually falls. Not much to say. Unless you consider the updated one. After Phase 2 ended, both Kara in 1980 and the Sansas began to exhaust their stamina. Kara in 1980 could only choose to strike one of the 7 Sansas. The others would teleport away to seek reinforcements. The Sandstruck would not advance to the next phase, but lacking sufficient stamina to teleport, they would remain behind to continue fighting with the sole purpose of delaying time. UKB Sans prolonged his life via good karma and injected the determination reagent into his body, temporarily without side effects. UKB Sans utilised skills like splitting and summoning in the first half, then employed the power of karma to trap Kara in 1980 in an illusion in the latter half. Ultimately, UKB Sans exhausted his stamina. This song is way better. The fight begins the same way. He heals himself with good karma and injects himself with a little determination to access code powers. He then puts his hood up, which is somehow also cracked. Don't question it. He summons the rest of the Karmatic Time trio to his side. But both A-Navol and A-Gem. That'll help avoid the confusion about who's featured there. And I can say he summoned them, as it says so in the description. After that, a crash screen appears on your PC. And UKB... Oh no. That's gonna get me demonetized. Your eyes are blinded by the darkness, feeling nauseous in the abdomen. You feel like there's a boulder in your stomach. You want to fall asleep, but the pain keeps you awake. You cry out for help, but nobody can hear you. This is your karma. You do not repent. Bro thinks he's SP Dusttail. Anyway, yeah, UKB tries tormenting you with illusions and hallucinations, but this of course tired him out and the phase ends, and it ends on this scene. Yeah, I'm gonna level with you, Chief. This went from easily my least favourite Phase 3 to one of, if not my favourite. After Phase 2, Kara 1980 and the Sansas were exhausted. Kara 1980 could choose to attack one of the Sansas. Others would teleport to seek assistance to the simulator they use. Sansas who had been attacked had no strength to teleport, staying here to procrastinate. Since Murder Sans had committed genocide, they achieved a high HP, while Kara got debuffed and tired out, being unable to get through Murder's HP in one hit. There are four Dust Sans thieves for ETO. Lamentableness, and the Twisted Tempest are not canon, however. Either way, both have a lot to talk about. The official Scarlet Storm is also just music, not an animated OST. There is a fanon animated OST, but nothing to discuss there. Red Rain's a different story. This animation of Red Rain was uploaded by someone else too, however it still has the Ending Time Octet intro, and Billy one lists members of the team of COA as creators, so I will consider it canon, but obviously like I said, take it with a grain of salt. So Dust Sans wastes no time in attacking you, pulling his blade and pointing it at you. I also, for the dialogue here, I translated it with ChatGPT, because I don't speak Chinese, I don't know anyone who speaks Chinese, so it could be completely wrong, but yeah, just bear with me with it, but I think it works out well enough anyway. I think this Bloodily version of me should have a talk with you now, child. I regarded you as the savior of the monster race, but the shadows again and again make it so I can no longer avoid facing reality. I must make a change. I must stop your atrocities. Just as you remember it, every genocide route ended by your own hand. I killed the person closest to me, watching the person I care about most die right in front of me, yet I was powerless. The human will then attack Dust, catching them off guard, but of course he isn't finished yet. It's hard to imagine what exactly kept me going. Bearing the ideal of salvation, yet walking the path of a demon. In the end, I realized that I was nothing more than a monster myself. You don't really think that killing all of them would truly make you see you as a savior, do you? Seeing yourself kill the one closest to you. It's honestly laughable. You and I are the same. Both humans blinded by hatred. Later, Papyrus would show up. Is this your reason for killing? Do you admit that you're nothing more than a murderer too? The great savior, have you come back? You're right, brother. Even though I walked the path of slaughter countless times, I am never the one in the wrong. From the moment I first stepped onto this path, I will no longer be Sans. My goal has never changed, no matter how many times he starts over. I will stop you. He locks that fuck in a secret's even cooler than the Void Echo's drop. This shit just gets better the further in you go. How can someone hate this? The dialogue is some of the best I've seen. I would no longer be Sans. That's such a raw line. Anyway, this is a breakdown, not a review. Does Sans soon tires and the phase ends? After Phase 2, Kara in 1980 and the Sansers were exhausted. Yada 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 yada. ULB would use a bone to block one hit. UB arrived here in the final and withstood a hit for ULB. So ULB gets attacked and blocks the hit. He powers back up quickly, he's really not fucking around. There's not much to say on this. ULB was actually focusing on beating your ass rather than being entertained. Oh my god! Betrayer Sans is from a soulless pacifist timeline. First you did a genocide run, and then followed it with a pacifist run. If you don't know, in Undertale if you do this, Kara kinda still holds a grudge for the Geno run, and won't let you forget it happened. But yeah, in Undertale Betrayer, Kara takes over your body, and begins committing a genocide of monsters on the surface. This ends in a fight against Betrayer Sans, my goat for many reasons. I'll make a video on it at some point. Okay, back to the fight. So either ULB Gaster sends you to, or the growing instability in the Judgment Hall leads you to being transported to his timeline. Afterwards, you are both transported back, where ULB and UB fight side by side. The flowers will eventually bloom, birds will cry out again. What is the purpose of endless genocides? Never mind, too late to turn back. Looks like I'm not the only one who thinks so. Beware of the man who speaks in hands. ULB Gaster then possesses ULB like a teaser for ULB's third phase. Ultimately they fall and UB tanks the hit for ULB, concluding the phase. That's my goat. After Phase 2, Kara yada 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 yada. Ainavol would come to help Agen block the hit with his bone. Later on, FFTBO joined the battle. FFTBO was overloading to attract the lightning and couldn't bear the energy to death. So Kara chooses to attack Agen, but Ainavol blocks the hit with his own bone. There are a few different things to talk about regarding Ainavol. First of all, there's Preboot and Reboot Ainavol. Ainavol is considered a character from something called Earthbound Halloween Hack 2. One of Toby Fox's first games was Earthbound Halloween Hack, and Ainavol is considered a character in the sequel. Especially in Reboot Ainavol's case, who features a purple aura as opposed to Preboot's glitchy yellow one. The purple aura resembles that of Doctor and Donuts, or a character in the first hack. Basically his life goes to shit. He's racked with guilt for dooming the 4 main characters from Earthbound when he sends off to fight Gygas, the final boss, a mission that was a one-way trip for them. So Donuts basically goes insane and he becomes a homicidal, self-loathing maniac. And I guess he'd become Ainavol. Either way, it's not relevant. What we do need to discuss is an AU called Elat Red Denu Ainavol Agen. This is a take on Ainavol, TX Ainavol to be specific. His Phase 1 sprite has a bloody eye and him standing in a boxing stance alongside Metaton. And in Phase 2 he uses the Justice Soul and his sprite turns a reddish colour and he holds 2 sharp broken bones in his hands. You see where this is going? His Phase 3 has a beast-like form, but that's not important here. So Ainavol here resembles a mix of styles. The holding of bones clearly references TX Ainavol, however his eye for now is uninjured. but still featuring the yellow glow. Anyway, both he and A power up and they begin fighting you. Later on in the phase, finale for the Bonely one appears, another no AU. FFTBO Sans doesn't have any lore besides his harnessing of lightning powers. The creator even believed that no AU shouldn't have any lore, so that makes this section simple. Back to the fight. FFTBO spent the battle trying to attract lightning to the field to make the fighting easier. And then he begins to crack his skull, and I'm giving his Boneliest form a separate section to FFTBO, because technically they are different characters. So while waiting for the human in the Geno route, Sans was bored and decided to make a deal with an unknown entity to make things interesting. The power would only be activated when he's damaged by someone else, however. So when the human does arrive, he taunts them into attacking him, which, yeah, eyes. This was made as a lore version of FFTBO, however has no relation to him outside of that. So yeah, ETO is kinda inaccurate in this regard. He also splits his own skull, another discrepancy, but regardless, you know who that is. Boneliest also doesn't have lightning powers like FFTBO, however, for this case, just pretend that they're the same person. Oh yeah. Also, people keep saying this lore of Boneliest being an eye thief and getting all of his eyes from other Sanses. Apparently he stole them. But guys, where did you find this? I can't find it anywhere. So let me know in the comments, please. Anyway, back to the battle. Boneliest overloads while trying to attract the lightning and begins glitching out, eventually dying. The other two exhausted themselves and the phase ends. Oh yeah, before we move on, I want to explain the name of the phase, according to the wiki anyway. So Fistoflatning is of course an original word, but it's inspired by the members. Fire for Agem, Stone for... I don't even know where this comes from. Maybe a potential M87, because with him it'd be from bad times all around. But he isn't here, so your guess is as good as mine. Flash for Ainable and Lightning for FFTBO. If you put the words together, you get Fire, Stone, Flash, Lightning. Then just remove some of the characters. Fistoflatning. After the second stage, Kara and Sans both start to lose strength, and Kara can only choose to hit one of the 7 Sanses. The other Sanses will teleport away to find support. However, in fact, the Sanses cannot teleport away from a Misery Abyss by themselves. It's G that teleports them. It's OG that teleports them. The Sanses who are hit will not die immediately, but they do not have enough strength to teleport and will stay to continue the battle for the purpose of delaying time. Insanity Sans has carried out massacres under the higher HP. Kara is weakened and exhausted, so can't use a single attack to exhaust his HP. Ignore some parts of that description, I guess, because some of them are outdated, it seems. But yeah, you get the idea. Not much to say regarding this phase, except this scene was kind of funny. Kid. You appear in the Judgment Hall with him after attacking him. I guess he just kind of wanted to. He also destroys the save point because he has determination, and picks up a fucking pillar. That's fun. Sorry, there's not more to say, it's just kind of confusing if anything. He also grabs Kara's arm and most likely breaks it when they try to attack him. Man, Insanity is brutal. Oh my god, we're at 8,000 words on the script. After the second phase, both Kara, 1980, and Sans began to run out of energy, and Kara, 1980, could only choose to kill one of the 7 Sanses. The other Sanses will teleport away to find support. Yada 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 blah 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 blah. In this third stage, you could choose to attack the hidden enemy, OG, to trigger a hidden battle. Eventually, OG eliminated Kara, 1980. I thought this song was pretty good, and I created a cool PV for it. intending to tell the story of OG's past. Unexpectedly, this PV was so cool that we didn't have the ability to make it, so we just posted it. There ain't any animated OSTs for either song here. The true enemies from Season 1 and Road to Ruins, the modern one, Season 2 onwards. So yeah, this is a secret phase, and I guess it's not canon. There's nothing to say that it is, or isn't, so I'm just going to say it's a secret fight. Basically, you attack OG, and that triggers a secret battle with him. He then eliminates Kara, that being where this phase in the fight would end. But we're going to pretend this didn't happen. It would also seem to conflict with the new lore of ETO, that this was testing the capacity of the Misery Abyss. I don't know, this is probably the phase with the least content, so let's just move on from it. You understand it well enough. OG kills Kara, that's it. And that's also all the phase 3s, so now we can finally move back to the main fight. Have you heard? The clash of chambers and rounds, the collision of smoke and ammo, it echoes within the roar of gunfire, and the scent of sulfur blinds the eye. Okay, I may have lied. There are 9 phase 3s. But this one isn't canon anymore, so I may have also not lied. This was Hardtail's phase 3. In Season 1, if you attack Hardtail, then sudden fucking changes appears. From my understanding, Sudden Changes, or Oversave Tale, is simply a side story to Undertale. It isn't a sequel or prequel, just a retelling in a way. An Undertale Gaiden, as the Tumblr page describes it. Sans is a scientist, and he also has a cool as fuck mech. Flowey's his partner in crime, I guess. He has a gun and a coffee addiction. That's all I could find outside of his famous theme and battle. Lore-wise, it's an original story based on Undertale. I tried to read the comic, but somehow the links to it are blocked in the UK. So I'm kind of fucked. Anyway, the two fight side by side. Well, I say side by side. Most of the face is just sudden changes, but Hardtail comes back at the end. SC has new weaponry. But still takes a break for coffee. Priorities. So yeah. we'll come back to these two when we get to the Phase 4s, since we'll be discussing ETO S1 Phase 4 too. Okay, that's every Phase 3. Now we get on to Phase 3.5. Once again, no snazzy description, sadly, but it's okay. All we need to know is that each stands return with their new allies, and the gang is back together. OG ran simulations for every possible Phase 3, I assume excluding his own, as that wasn't supposed to happen, to test the power of each. He then loaded the scripts of every Sans, and their new allies post Phase 3. The Sans all reunite. A-Game dodges an attack, Yorby tanks a hit for UB, which is nullified by his Gaster, and another sweeping edge. Killer Sans gets hit, COTV Sans is nullified by his Gaster. Ainavol's skull is wounded. Oh my god, like Elat read the new Ainavol A-Game Phase 2. UKB takes a second slash, Dust takes a hit. Insanity begins his transition into his runaway or Phase 3 form. ULB is knelt nearing death. COTV just leaves. Like, okay, guess he cares about maintaining the Octet part of the name. Seriously though, I guess he's going to settle the extractor for the best moment in the entire ETO. Killer powers up, Dust just grins. Psycho. Betrayer is so pissed. UKB injects himself with DT, giving him access to code powers, just more so than his solo phase. Ainavol's skull is bleeding. Like Elat, Ainavol A-Game. Insanity finishes his transformation, A-Game begins flaming again. Yorby Gaster picks him up. It's so wholesome. He then proceeds to possess him. A-Game and Ainavol notice their similar nature. Oh my god guys, Ainavol and A-Game are the two beings with highly similar properties OG said he'd introduce. Only light and fire are not enough. I can feel the attraction between our souls. It seems they are souls of the same nature. So what do you want to do? That's the note it ends on. Who's that? Before we move on, we should discuss each trio and their role in the coming phase, so as not to interrupt the flow when we get to probably the moment you're all waiting for. So at this point in Murder Time Trio, Kara's beaten the team of Dust, Killer and Insanity Sans. MTT Gaster infuses Chaos into... Yes, we are on a tangent within a tangent. This will be a short one though, so stay with me. Chaos is an element that isn't fully understood in the multiverse, but what is known about it is that when it's administered, it brings out the strongest consciousness within souls it's injected into. When more than one soul is injected with Chaos, the consciousnesses are combined, fusing them into one being, becoming the strongest possible version of themselves. Yeah, it's basically a Deus Ex Machina plot device. Anyway, MTT Gaster infuses Chaos into the three members, and they fuse to become Satsujin or Satsujinki, roughly translating from Japanese to murder or murderer. They become OP basically, beating your shit for like 3 more phases. So fully unravelling the tangent, Satsujin is hinted at the end of Phase 3.5, but this won't be expanded upon until Phase 4. Yep, we can finally talk about this one. So by Phase 3, UKB has only entered Phase 2, not Phase 3 like he is in here. But this isn't focused on Character Trio as much as the other 3 anyway, hence it not being mentioned in the original ETO post. Anyway, yeah, by now you've probably figured it out. Claw the Void's planning to revive Tears in the Rain. He does this in Chaotic Time Trio 2, and that's basically the whole premise of Phase 3. Here it has a smaller role, but it's still a big part of the phase. And probably my favourite part of the whole thing, besides Phase 6, but we'll get there. Hang in there. Now let's get on to the big old part ETO is famous for. Okay, but before we get into the actual Phase 4 Inferno Combusts, Incontrollable Development is the ETO Phase 4 theme from Season 1. Yes, you're going to hear me talk about it. Don't worry, it won't take long, then we can get on to the main event. So in this one, Satsuchi successfully fuses at the start of the phase. Yorby and Yubi appear beside him powering up. Sudden Changes is also here. TITR is back here and now. He's already a lost soul. They're speedrunning this phase. Hardtail's also still here, he's still kicking. Remember how he's in Season 1 Phase 2 and he has his own Phase 3? He's also in Season 1 Phase 4, go figure. Everyone else is what you'd expect. Disbelief Papyrus and Revenge Papyrus also show up. I'll talk about them during the actual Inferno Combusts section though. There are now 13, including Gaster, members on the field. Yes, 13. In an Octet, there are 13. Oh yeah, also notably, Ainable and Agam remain separate. Oh yeah, I also suppose COTV only just shows up to fight in this phase too. It's really interesting seeing how ETO developed over time. Anyway, later we get flashbacks to the previous phases, so we can see better what Season 1 ETO looked like. Phase 1 looks exactly the same, how about that? Phase 2 we already discussed the changes in, we skip the Phase 3s. So it's basically the same regardless, we learn nothing new. But yeah. It ends, Agam dies, TITR dies, COTV dies, and the rest goes up to Phase 5, which we'll get to later. Like I said, not much to note, but let's get on to Season 2 Phase 4. In the beginning of Phase 4, Misery Abyss decided to operate FTT. Murder and Sanity were occupied by FTT. Sasujinki was separated. In the middle of the battle, Agam fused with Ainable to Ainable Agam. FTT ran over, Sasujinki fused again, successfully this time. So for this, you'll have to bear with me. We have the game for part 1 and the actual animation. I'll walk cover both. The OST animation has nothing unique to add, so we'll disregard it, but it's there. So the phase begins with the Murder Time Trio trying to fuse. But as you might remember, the former Time Trio script takes priority over the Murder Time Trio script. So Dustin and Santi are both caught in that script. It needs to be carried out before the fusion can commence, so it ultimately fails. Just so long. We still stand here. Dust flying all over the sky. Operation Sas, Jinky overrated. What is the point of this never-ending babble? Sneak attacking someone is very rude. Kara then attacks, but is blocked by Ainable, who enters his fighting stance, like TX Ainable Phase 1. So yeah, it's kinda out of order, but you can see where the sprites frame are referenced from. All the stances then power up. The OB Gaster fully possesses his sands, and the other stances also prepare. Poor killer dude, spent this whole fucking Octet waiting around for Dustin and Santi to finish messing with ULB. So Murder Time Trio stuff could happen. Wow, your chocolate's delicious. You'll regret that. Either way, MTT Gaster infuses him with chaos to help him persist while the other two finish their FTT business. Murder begins melting from determination, and my goat is farming Laura. So the fight begins. Inciting Sound slams the ground, lifting platforms into the sky. Now it's up to me to deal with you. And after a little while, OG activates the FTT script and the lore of the three members is recited. A lazy sentry skeleton, an encounter with a mysterious person. So as not to betray the pain that once returned, swear to fight with every last breath. The despairing judge of sin, the power of determination awakens, to stop those who commit evil and slaughter others, to tread the road covered in dust. A pitiful experimental subject, all sanity has faded away, to unleash the madness and wildness within. The rivers run red with blood for miles. secret door isolated from the world, a complicated and confusing figure, giving the world the truth of oblivion. The survival of this world, no longer lazy. The judge was experienced countless massacres, resisted in pain and despair, thousands of reincarnations, resurrection from the ashes, finally became an unreasonable murderer. An unknown story, an insane experiment. Bizarre things eroded sanity. A madman born of blood and tears. A long time ago, war broke out between the two races. After a long battle, the humans sealed the monsters underground with a magic spell, until a human child fell underground, and so the story of humans and monsters continues. The good ending we could have gotten, now along with your sins gone forever, never returning. Oh my god. So following this, you have a fight, a section against Ainavol and Agem, who eventually fuse into Ainavol Agem. No, not Eladrin, no Ainavol Agem. This is a fusion name, not an AU. Basically they have molten fire powers and they're stuffed with magma. I have a bad feeling. What now? Are you ready, kiddo? So after a while, you then end up fighting the Climatic Time trio. UKB uses his code powers to change the scene of the battle to include all four of the members. UKB, ULB, Ainavol Agem and UB. You attack, but they're all blocked and nullified by UKB's stat manipulation. Or in the case of the game, you play Tetris with the Sansas. Then you get falling metal piped by Ainavol Agem. Next you have a scene where MTT finally fuses into Satsujin. Due to the growing instability of space-time due to the experiment, there's more chaotic energy, however, leading to a stronger Satsujin. But first, Dust speaks to you. We all once longed for a beautiful ending, but in the end, I realised it was nothing more than a dream in vain hope. Your determination is indeed strong, but I wonder whether this determination can withstand the boundless chaos. Don't worry, it'll take care of you. I promise to burn the heavens in the endless flames of slaughter. Detected that the occupation of the entity by the Operation Former Time trio has been released. Operation Satsujinki continues. The chaos of space and time has increased, adding more unstable elements to the experiment. Hey kiddo, isn't this just like the old times? Standing here, you and me, trying to kill each other as usual. Except this time, I'm not alone. The former time was nothing but dust, so why speak of happiness? You and I both know that EXP is above all else. I'll warn you once again, child, although you've heard it many times, in this world, it's kill or be killed. Detected that the occupation of the entity by the Operation Former Time trio has been released. Time and space instability is increasing, adding more unknown elements. A person who cannot change at all will never change. Dude, this is so fucking cool, I'm sorry. How can you hate this? It's time to end it all. Then your souls have a fucking duel. Is so fucking cool. I'm trying to stay impartial for the sake of an objective breakdown, but moments like this are just so well done. Anyway, they rough you up a bit, and then they send you spiraling for the finale to part 1. Against now 5 members: ULB, UKB, UB, Ainavol Agem, and Satsujin. Okay, phew. Let's take a break for a sec. Two new members show up to fight, Disbelief and Revenge Papyrus. So in Disbelief's timeline, Sans remembered the Genocides and confronts you in Snowed In, stopping Papyrus from confronting you there. But ultimately, Sans would still die, leaving Papyrus in his place, watching as you kill all his friends, until he confronts you in the Judgment Hall in Sans' place. That's all that matters for now. Revenge the Unseen ending, Revenge Papyrus, or simply TUE Papyrus as I'll call him, is Papyrus from a timeline similar to Disbelief's, in that Papyrus confronts you in the Judgment Hall. However, Papyrus still confronts you in Snowed In, and Sans jumps in and blocks the hit, Undying style. He then shortcuts away with Papyrus and dies shortly after. Gaster then enters Papyrus' consciousness and helps him destroy his pity in order to make Papyrus a better fighter to defeat you. He then confronts you in the Judgment Hall, and there's a reboot that has an extra phase to his Judgment Hall fight, but we'll touch on that shortly. Disbelief and TUE join the battle as supports. COTV pulls out Determination from the Determination extraction. Gaster added Determination to CNR's dust. Determination fused with CNR's soul incompletely. CNR revived. Because of little Determination, it's just like an increase in CNR's LV. The Determination occupied a part of CNR's soul, leaving something lost, becoming the lost soul. At the end of Phase 4, TUE leaves to find the 6 human souls. COTV continued to add Determination to CNR to stop him from being lost. The Determination extraction was overloaded to explode. CNR came back from the lost soul condition, but he cannot afford the Determination to melt. So back to the insanity. Oh yeah, this is where the game ends, so now we can focus just on the animation. Disbelief and TUE Papyrus fight you for a while. Disbelief even does his lazy attack that he had inspired by Sans. Sorry, just a habit. Your ending is already predetermined. There's also a reference to how Sans tanked the hit for TUE Papyrus here. Oh, and Disbelief doesn't cry here like it does in the original game. I guess because he has like 5 Sanses now, and he remembered that skeletons don't have tear ducts. Jokes aside, yeah, the 2 Papyruses, TUE Gaster also uses his hand in a similar way to ULB Gaster, nullifying the hit for TUE Papyrus. After this, all the Gasters show up and discuss the experiment and what to do now. Seems like our heroes and demon are at a stalemate. Unexpectedly, our angel, the master of the plan, still couldn't defeat this player. This experiment is very interesting, with many variables. All thanks to my creation, the determined little freak. What other surprises will you bring upon us? I am very much looking forward to it. I can feel the emotions of the experimental subjects, and they are still persisting. So in order for the experiment to continue to operate, we should do something. Now let's welcome our fallen hero again. You can't change anything. So what we get from this, the Gasters are aware of OG's existence, however they seem to misunderstand the point of his plan. They believe it is to defeat the Kara MTT Gaster created, which he seems way too proud of by the way, when in fact it's simply to accrue as much power as possible to test the limits of the Judgment Void, and therefore Misery Abyss. They also see OG as the angel from the Deltarune prophecy. Very, very interesting. Pun intended. Now it's time to call the Void's grand return. The Extractor's ready, and the Extractor's determination ready to be harnessed once more. And the Chaotic Tau Trio finally assembled. Do you hear it? Do you feel it? That roaring machine, that cold raindrop. It calls in the void, it calls in the rainstorm. Chaos fills the entire space. Then Call the Void begins the process, and uses the determination to piece together Tia in the Range Soul, as they did with HM in their solo phase. Sans, wake up, it's not your end. What is this feeling? The pain of losing loved ones. This endless battle. The chaos, the plan. Whatever happens, we will all fight until the very end. That's my goal. So now the CTT actually assemble and defend TITR while COTB Gaster tries to bring him back to his senses. Oh, and the OIC actually does have a unique dialogue here, so let's play that back. Why did you kill my brother? I don't know what it feels like. Dirty brother killer. Wish the plan can succeed. So yeah, UB snaps his bone, and now he has two smaller sharper bones, which look so cool. So yeah, the CTT fight you for a while. He seeks echoes in the void and vows to take to pieces. He lost himself in the heavy rain, and the lost is no longer merciful. He is steadfast in betrayal, brave and tenacious, and not afraid of the devil. He is full of determination in his code, tailor-made for endless hell. All this was your doing. You insulted our soul, set his blood on whenever return. They resonated together. You are losing your grip on reality. UKB then proceeds to use fucking Minecraft commands. He summons the Amalgamates and Gaster followers to the CTT's side, and then he proceeds to summon everyone else in the Octet, and they all fight in unison. This is truly what OG had in mind when he began this experiment, I'm sure. When everyone powers up again, TUE dons his Royal Guard armor. Remember that thing I mentioned about his reboot having an extra phase? Well, this is that. It's invulnerable. Invulnerable. Pretty OP if you ask me. Well, it is at least to an LV19 human. Jury's out on LV 1981. The KTT tell the rest to stall for time. The KTT minus UKB, that is, who's still hanging out with the CTT now. So UB, ULB, and Annual again leave briefly as the other six stall. Oh, and UKB's looking pretty worse for wear. He kind of overdosed on determination and began melting, I guess. You'll see in a sec. This sword's basically completely determination. You attack TUE Papyrus, but as I said, his armor's invulnerable. That's when Clara realizes something's up. That's not right, where are the other sensors? Wait, what's behind me? The KTT then ambush Kara, launching a sneak attack from behind. It works and they get a lot of damage off, but Kara breaks out quickly. They attack COTV, locked by UB. Stop acting stubborn, okay? They attack TITR, locked by UB. Goddamn brother killer. This time, I'll protect what I want to protect. UB is filled with determination. You can see his eyes start to glow red. You go, my go. COTV then tries to speed up the process of TITR, and you finally knock the armor off TUE Papyrus, who leaves to get the human souls, either by his own volition or by the influence of his Gaster like in his timeline. Oh lost soul, listen to my summoning. Return to this fallen apart world. Satsujin stalls while COTV powers the extractor up again. COTV overloads the extractor. It explodes, flooding TITR with determination. It's occurred to me, the ending of this timeline. I won't give you the mercy anymore. TITR is now also filled with determination, and ULB is losing his head. Then launches into a final last-ditch attack. It is over. He grabs Kara and self-destructs, but it doesn't work. It's not enough. Nothing's enough. They still stand. It's over, hero. I will continue to resist with your tears. TITR is the first to fall, the determination too much for him to handle. Animal Legem, after exploding, leaks all the magma out of himself and dies. The DT is too much for UKB, who too soon dies. Similar story for Betrayer, and all of the last breath power is drained. But the fight isn't over yet. Things have become interesting. Kid. The chaos has no end. They are the only ones left. Absolute cinema. Now let's take another little break from that insanity. Then we can continue on to Phase 5. We're almost there. Only 9 more phases to cover. We aren't even close to done. So many new members to discuss. Fuck. After Phase 4, Kara 1980 used a Sweeping Edge again, which hit Satsujinki, COTV, and DB. Satsujinki enters Phase 4, COTV enters Act 3, DB enters Phase 2. Meanwhile, False Reset and Six Bones join the battle of supports. TUE absorbs 6 souls. So TUE Papyrus returns and absorbs the human souls he collected. Seems it was due to Gaster shenanigans that he left, but yeah, that's literally it. This is a short phase. Before we go into the major Phase 5, let's cover this version. It should be easier. So this of course isn't canon, it's kind of like one left in CTT, the fanon phase where you fight COTV EX with the DT of himself, UKB and TRTR. Yeah, this is that, but he has the DT of every member of ETO. This makes him call the Void Neo. For this, I'm going to cover the original. The dialogue in V2 is way too hard to read in the latter half and subtitles are disabled. Apologies. But they have the same premise. So the Kyuseishu? I always say Kyuseishu, but someone says Kyuseishu. But I'm going to say Seishu, so cope. So the Kyuseishu fusion fails. We'll get onto that soon enough. And everyone else died. COTV is the only one left. And we get to hear him lament his many failures. Oh, and you'll see a ton of overlap between this and his solo Phase 3 in terms of dialogue. I've always known what kind of character you are, searching for the more you desire. Greedily sweeping through this world. But is this grand drama that sprouted from chaos going to end like this? Even if we try our best, you still stand here. I've indeed doubted myself more than once. Who knows? There's only one definitive thing left. Their will. Their souls. Still trembling. If that's the case, then let me end everything. Chaos spread. One left. Yeah, it's kinda clunky, but English ain't the greatest first language, I don't think. But yeah, COTV is super powerful. Save files, UB blasters, UKB's DT heart, etc. To be honest, I'm quite surprised you've come this far. Fortunately, that purple kid remembered our plan. And paths fall for the time. Otherwise, it's really hard to imagine how to defeat you. How about we meet old friends? COTV then uses his DT to replay the Phase 4 Satsujin sequence, bringing them into the battle as a memory, a lost soul, something like that. He has UKB's determination, so I'd assume it's like his summoning abilities we see in his Phase 3 and in Inferno Combusts. He also summons the KTT back, including HM. Memories then flash by of everyone's deaths throughout the battle, and he then offers you another chance. He's way too good for this brat. Of course you attack, but... If given another chance, would you make the same choice? Very good. You motherfucker. He summons the human soul, which I guess TUE didn't get in this timeline. But oh well, this is the fanon phase, it doesn't matter. He then fights you with everything. All his abilities, all his resources, all his allies. This should have ended a long time ago. And it ends. He claims your soul. I'm sure that's the point. I'm sure this is the point that OG would run things back, given that you lost. And he wouldn't be satisfied by the beast called the Void's power. So let's move on to another Phase 5. Okay, so this one doesn't have a name as far as I can find. But one of the comments on YT calls it Drastic Panic, and I like that name, so cast your mind back to Uncontrollable development, because this is the Phase 5 of Season 1. The KTT fused into Kyuseishu, I'll get to it, and stands beside Satsujin, now in Phase 4, Jigoku no Goka. Just another Satsujin phase. But with the Kyuseishu comes Decadent Society. Swap fell. And Hard Mode revived. Again, Hardtail is in his Phase 3, Resilient guy. Disbelief enters his Phase 2. TUE enters their Act 3 Human Soul form. And Sun Changes hops in his cool as fuck mech. Later on, backup arrives due to the growing instability of the timeline, but I won't discuss the lore of some of these until we get onto the modern Phase 5. So yeah, after Hypocrisy, who we'll get to. Rain Time Trio, a trio of Tears in the Rain, Dust and Last Breath Sands. Legend of Crystal shows up. We'll get to them later too. Ruin Tale is much the same, as is Final Plan. Unknown Timeline 2 and Last Stand as well. This house has a symbol. According to a comment, it's from an anime game called Blue Archive. But it's not Visitor from the Underground, because Sam doesn't have the tie or name or like badge. It says one of the characters, Hoshino specifically, crossed with Sans. Hoshino Sans. I don't know enough about Hoshino, but Sans just has a cool halo, I guess. Okay, I should probably at least give some info on the character he's crossed with. Thankfully someone told me the info, so I didn't need to risk seeing NSFW when this is the autofill when I look it up. I know what you are. So Hoshino is a student at this school the main characters in Blue Archive attend. They are the bearer of the strongest mysticism which is basically the magic in the place it happens. Kivotos. Or Kivoto, I don't know. She has a connection to the Egyptian god Horus. Her armor is called the Iron Horus and her shotgun the Eye of Horus, which is also the name of her Megalovania in Aoharu Tale. They have their own AU? Fucking hell. They're a skilled and tactical fighter, also a slacker, so it's pretty clear why they were crossed with Sans. Lazy while also being the quote-unquote strongest character. But yeah, that's about it. If you want to know more, I'm watching you sick fucks. So then all the other members return. These ones don't leave, so there are, count them, 18 people on the field. In an octet, there are 18 people in one scene. But yeah, that's where the phase and Season 1 ends. Now the video will be far less confusing. We're not even close to done. Phew, back to familiar territory. Phase 5 starts. ULB, UKB, Anable Agam, and Betrayer fuse to become Q Seishu. The battle is halfway through. The collapsing of time and space becomes more intense. Satsujinki, Q Seishu's physical strength are completely drained, but does not enter the next phase. Right after Sans.exe, UTL Phase 1, UFP Phase 4, after Hippocrates Sans Phase 1, Legend of Crystal Phase 2, Ruined Tale Phase 2, Undertale Rejuvenation Chapter 4, ULS Phase 1, AE full names below, join the battle as supports. So KTT fuses into Q Seishu, roughly translated from Japanese as Saviour. In KTT, Decadent Society and HO appear, but here they don't, so you know, they did in Season 1, so that's enough. For OG, I guess. So Satsuji introduced Phase 4, Jigoku no Goka, roughly translated from Japanese as 5 Hells apparently. Interesting. Disbelief entered his Phase 2, so he's angry. 6 Bones appears. So in one timeline, Papyrus began to fall down, basically die. So Sans took him to Altus's lab and injected him with determination to keep him alive. Unfortunately for Sans, Papyrus began to melt, and in the panic, Sans was encompassed in the melting mass. And so 6 Bones. False Reset, Sans and Asgore also appear. Basically in one Geno timeline, I guess fun values meant that Sans and Asgore fought you together. That's literally it. Polar Void appears in his Phase 3A, 1 left, meaning that he's filled with determination. And finally, TUE Papyrus having absorbed the human souls. He is in his Act 3 form. The 8 of them all fight you as time and space grow more unstable, as the power present grows, just as OG wanted the little psycho. Power of the 2 fusions grows weak, but they don't progress phases yet, even if Satsujin looks like his Phase 5 form. Anyway, backup time. Now this is what most of you are probably waiting for. I have solved for you. What are these backup AUs? I know, no need to thank me. Now let's begin going through them. Oh, and while we're looking around, I found these alternate backups, so we'll go into these too, just for the sake of a full breakdown.
Okay, so this is Sansby in post. I found out where they came from.
It looks like they're alternate backup members for the Season 1 Phase 5. So mystery solved.
They didn't even change the song to adapt them, so it doesn't matter. Let's just start with the actual official ones. Through a genocide route, Sans didn't die, and was instead transported to a purgatory. Seeing a grey version of himself, he followed them, leading him to Zodome, the god of after death. Zodome reaches Sans and offers to stop any future genocide timelines by recreating the just destroyed world, promising all his friends and brother will return. Sans accepts the deal, and Zodome recreates the world, however claimed ownership over Sans' soul. Sans was then revived with full memories of what transpired. He realises that the player was the one controlling Frisk the whole time, and the genocide was the player's fault. So now under the control of Zodome, I keep saying different every time, Sans killed everyone in the timeline and moved on to the next to cleanse them of the player's control. So I guess ETO was just a world in that journey. Good thing they got rid of him quickly. Unknown Timeline is unfortunately the one that I have the least info on. As I said, all I have to go off is a single YouTube comment. After scouring Billy for so long, I still found literally nothing in terms of lore. But basically from the comment, Kara discovers a timeline called the Unknown Timeline and enters it, finding it empty except for Sand in the Judgment Hall, who seems to remember everything. That's all I could find on this, unfortunately. So let's move on. The final plan is made by MC Hooray, or Hooray, I don't know. Yeah, the ETO guy. And I gotta say, man, Gaster's an asshole. Anyway, in this timeline, Alphys was competent and successfully evacuated monsters from Snowdin onwards, and finished Metaton Neo. Undyne still dies fighting Frisk, through no fault of Alphys's, of course. So as mentioned, Gaster's an asshole. He finds the timeline interesting and possesses Pascal. Okay, of course this is Papyrus, but the mistranslations are so fucking funny. Anyway, yeah, Sans and Papyrus were part of the evacuation in this timeline, but were towards the back, so no one noticed Gaster possessed Papyrus and attacked Sans. Sans did eventually accidentally kill Papyrus, and touches Papyrus' dust, meaning that Papyrus can talk to Sans. But no one else can, obviously. Once everyone's successfully evacuated, Alphys closes the door to the True Lab, but Gaster, the fucking dickhead, opens it again, letting the human inside. Sans is forced to fight Frisk in the True Lab. This is where he comes into ETO, but we'll keep going since these are users so niche. Alphys sends Metaton Neo to help Sans for Phase 2, along with some other stronger monsters, but that's where it ends anyway, because MC says he was too lazy to think of the rest of the story. But yeah, fuck Gaster, W Alphys for once, moving on. I've got to say, of all the A-Users backups, this one was the most intriguing. And I knew my instincts were correct, because this is a soulless pacifist timeline, like Betrayer my goat. So yeah, as you all know, Fish and Dragon got together in the pacifist ending. Sans and Papyrus started cooking classes, and Sans was planning to teach Papyrus personally. How cute! Frisk is basically Chris Deltarune, but then Kara the bitch takes over Frisk's mind. So one day, Sans tells Papyrus to head home after a cooking class, while he goes shopping. On the way back, Sans sees a ton of humans and monsters running away from somewhere, and they tell him Frisk has started killing monsters and a tall skeleton has gone to stop them. Dun dun dun. Sans runs back. He forgot about his shortcuts, the dumbass, and he found Papyrus as a pile of dust. And Sans sat over it, just trying not to forget that skeletons don't have tear ducts. He tied the scarf around his arm and heard a loud sound, and he ran after it, seeing bodies littered. Otaku Dragon and the Fish Sister had both been killed. Sans saw Frisk being controlled by Kara. I guess he saw the red pupils and faint blush and immediately knew it was the dead child that he never met or knew about. Kara attacked Sans. However, in this timeline specifically, Sans dodged and his left eye got badly wounded, and this is where he would enter ETO. Though it could be later. Eventually he got hit by another attack by Kara, but Frisk managed to regain some control and stabbed himself. My god, this is so fanonized, I kind of love it. Sans then finished the human off, and Frisk made Sans promise they'd live well. I'm sure he will now that most of his friends and brother are dead. Sans forgets completely that skeletons don't have tear ducts, and reminds them that he hates promises. Sans absorbs the soul egg, and because of this, there is no more vessel for the player, and the world begins to tear itself apart. So fun. Then the AU becomes Error vs Ink Sans law, and after a battle they agree to leave his world alone, though he's still traumatized. Poor actor hypocrisy. The reason I think his ETO appearance could be at this point is because only now does he get the yellow eye that he has when he's in ETO. That looks like a save point. But yeah, that's about where his lore ends. Pretty interesting. This is by far the most complicated AU here, and could definitely get a full video of its own. But I'll cover specifically Sans' lore since that's what the video is about. So Octet finds an ore inside of Mount Ebert, and it has interesting properties. Monsters exposed to its radiation have expanded lifespans and increased strength. Basically it's determination ore, and it's highly addictive, so day by day the number of miners that Alpha is ordered to extract as much as possible began to dwindle. Afterwards, Redavis monster stormed Alphys' lab and killed her, sealing it off, so no one wanted to suffer the addiction. Rip Bozo, I guess. Metaton was also infected, and the monsters basically dismantled them, repurposing their parts. It's a shame. Undyne got addicted too, and so the water supply in Waterfall was infected, and monsters who consumed it became gravely ill because overexposure. Sans was one of these monsters, and desperate to save him, Papyrus went to the lab and got some of the ore. Papyrus put it in the DT extractor, and because liquid determination was easier to hide, and he got 3 vials. He took them back to Stone. He gave one to Sans and it healed him, but left him temporarily paralysed. Papyrus was able to get Sans back to normal, but their relationship became more strained. Sans stole the 2 other vials from Papyrus, and fearing what would happen if any other monsters found them. So meanwhile, in the core, the ore had piled up, and the core was failing. Then the ore began to fuck with the weather and make it a lot colder, meaning that monsters that relied on the heat would die. Sans went to collect firewood with an axe, which is also made of Metaton's breastplate, which is so fun. While he was gone, Papyrus began talking to other monsters, believing that the ore could be a good thing for monsters as long as they don't get addicted to it. And monsters began getting aggressive because this was a terrible idea. And Monster Kid warned Sans, who went to intervene and save Papyrus. Sans ended up growing a hatred for the monsters of Snowdin, and considered killing a few to make a point, but Papyrus tried to calm him down. Despite this, Sans' determination kept him aggressive. It's at this point that the human falls, and when they do, we'll cover the Genocide from him because that's the important one. But basically, Sans confronts him in Waterfall because he's accepted Asgul's human killing policy, and so tries to kill the human. So while Sans is distracted, you attack him and destroy his axe, slashing him with the handle and stabbing him in the skull. So fun. Sans then retreats and uses one of the other 2 DT valves to keep surviving. He confronts you later in the Judgment Hall, and after a battle you slash his right eye and your knife gets lodged in his left one. He uses his final DT valve to persist just a little longer, which also causes him to begin losing his mind. To maintain his focus just a little longer, he takes out his brother's scarf, a reminder of what he's fighting for. And this is where he enters ETO. See it now? This is where he dies. He finally loses his mind completely, basically a glorified zombie. But even zombies have more activity than Sans does at this point. He collapses, and just before he dies, he forgets the skeletons have no tear ducts. But yeah, this AU is actually huge, and I could do a whole video on it. So let me know if you'd be interested, because this is actually really interesting. On the other hand, this one's so simple. Sans remembers your genocide and decides to use the human soul to stop you. However, as he's about to kill you, Sheepfather intervenes, and Sans accidentally kills him. Great job, Sheepfather. Sans uses Asgul's soul to persist just a little longer, and he fires with the trident. This is where he enters Ending Time Octet. So in your second Geno run, yeah, only second, weird, You fight Papyrus and Snowed him, but you don't kill him. You reduce him to a head and walk away. Alphys finds him and uses determination to restore his body. Of course this is an awful idea, but oh well. Sans fights you in the Judgment Hall, confused that you're on the OV-18. Then Papyrus shows up, and it all becomes clear. They fight you together until the end you either attack Sans, or Sans tanks a hit for Papyrus, leaving him alone. Papyrus fights you determined, declaring his hatred for you, and this is where he would enter ETO. Of course after this his limbs begin dusting because DT and he dies, but yeah. So according to this guy, Sans hits his head and remembers the timelines. That's literally the explanation. Anyway, he wants Papyrus and Nazgul. They all wait in the throne room while Sans confronts you. This is where he enters ETO. Anyway, in his phase 2 he gets a purple and blue aura and corresponding eyes. And it's phase 3 the other three finally decide it would be a good idea to help him out. And now we have the other ones that I'm not even sure on the canonicity of. Papyrus and Sans use the human soul to create a fifth button called the Supernova button, which basically just erases the reset ability and the human altogether. How the fuck does this fight have 3 phases? Anyway, Sans and Papyrus confront you and don't immediately press the button, like what the fuck? I guess Papyrus wouldn't want to. Anyway, you attack Papyrus, but they fuse with Sans, and they become one, and still don't press the fucking button. Anyway, I guess you attack the fusion and eventually get a hole in their chest revealing their soul. Then after that phase, they finally press the button, and it's in this phase that they would join ETO. What a strange AU.
To Sans being post again, I completely got the explanation wrong for this one. So what actually happens is you touch the artifact and then the game crashes because obviously you weren't meant to do that. And when it resets, Sans is glitched out and he thinks that his job is to kill people, not to judge people. That's the actual law, but I'll still let you listen to me say the wrong stuff because it's funny.
So this one's like Insanity Sans, but I guess Sans remembers the timelines and went insane from that on his own. Gaster then began to whisper to him after that he didn't have to endure it anymore. Gaster had no part in driving Sans insane, Sans drove himself to madness, Gaster just began taking part after the fact. That's about it. One after this is Last Stand, we already discussed it, so moving on. There isn't a point in Rejuvenation where Sans is like we see in the picture, so I must assume that this is Rejuvenation Nihilism, which to my understanding is much the same thing. But in phase 4 Sans is nearing death and has a final strike at you. Coup de Grace the song is called. So yeah, Sans is about to die, but not yet. That's all I gotta say for this one. So the player messes with the files of Undertale, and so Sans' code is corrupted, turning him into VHS Sans. It's like the Undertale hacker ending, but Sans is a little pissed, so you have an actual fight against him. His phase 2 is the famous Your Fault, and that's the one that he joins ETO in. Flowey gets sick of your genocides and tells everyone about them. Most don't believe him, but Sans, Papyrus, Undyne and Asgore at the very least do. And I mean, as long as Asgore does, that's all that matters. So yeah. Sans gets some full-axe armor and Papyrus stores you at Snowden while Alphys evacuates the monsters. He dies, but Sans remembers that skeletons don't have tear ducts, and so just thanks Papyrus for his service. Later in the Judgment Hall you fight Sans and later Asgore alongside him. It's Sans in his solo Judgment Hall phase that seems to join Ending Time Octet. Okay, so I always thought this one was just silly cowboy Sans, but no, this is flawless genocide minus the genocide. Why the fuck did none of y'all tell me? So yeah, this is just Tail End of flawless genocide, but in an Undertale context. So instead of Sans killing absolutely everyone is safely evacuated to the tree lab. I guess Sans staged a murder by a human or something to get the monster's assets moving with the plan. He also stole all the items, weapons and armor, of course, and he fights you in the Judgment Hall. So yeah, pretty simple concept to understand. Just pacifist last genocide. Not last genocide, pacifist flawless genocide. And so after this one is Sans.exe, we've already covered. So that's every phase 5 backup from modern ETO. So we're finishing phase 5. So the fight continues, flashes back to phase 1 and all the members die soon after. So sad. Disbelief doesn't enter his phase 3, which makes sense because there's already like 4 to 10 other Sansas here. So yeah, rip ETO. Okay, let's take another break. We have 5 more phases to go over. And these aren't as big, so okay. 5. Take 5. And let's keep going. But what if they didn't die? Yeah, someone made another fanon additional phase for the main Octet with a few newbies to go over too. So instead of sweeping edge kill everyone, their attack doesn't kill them all. Some are left alive. Kyu, Seishu, Satsujin and Disbelief. Disbelief skips his phase 3 for the reasons I mentioned above, entering his phase 4 instead. Satsujin enters phase 7, Megalodystopia. I don't know why they skipped phase 5 and 6. Kyu Seishu enters their phase 5, and in their phase 5, Ainable defuses from them and hard mode's still there. So now, hard mode returned, and Ainable A-Game's back on the field. But who are these newbies? So this is an AU focusing on 3 versions of Sans, his past, present and future. Past Sans is just classic Undertale Sans, present Sans is the famous one, the one seen in ETO, with no mouth and the 2 hands. He also uses the human souls, or according to a few things I've read, they use him. Anyway, there's also future Sans, where his mouth returns and his eyes are shadowed, but that isn't important here. So while fighting Sans, you install a hack client into your game. When you spare him, he does his insta-kill attack, but obviously your hacks mean that you survive it. Sans is of course confused and realises that you must be a hacker, so he gives you the choice again between fighting and sparing. If you attack him, he just leaves the battle, seeing that fighting you is futile, if you're just a hacker. But if you spare him, that means you've disabled your hacks, and so Sans traps you in an endless attack, which means you have no time to reactivate your hacks before he'd kill you. I guess it's in this route that he enters ETO. Being post again. I got this one wrong too. I'm not going to play what I originally said because it's so disgustingly wrong that it's embarrassing. So, Undertale final save is set in the aftermath of tons and tons of resets. The human tampered with code and looked at every dialogue possible, and that began to make the game unstable. The world begins crumbling around, and no one really knows what's going on. Except the human, of course. So Sans confronts you in the Judgment Hall while it's collapsing, and Sans tries to run away later because he knows the player's to blame and thinks that fighting them's a bad idea, but the player blocks him. So Sans is very tired, very out of it, he can't do much, and eventually he hears a loud crack and his skull starts caving in on itself, so even he's breaking apart, which is lovely, I'm sure. So then he gets save points. He looks at his reflection in the Judgment Hall, and as he tries to stand up, a save point appears and saves the game, which restores his energy. And his body continues to crumble, but it means that between resets he remembers, so he uses different attacks each time. And basically he's so desperate he throws everything he has at you, like trombones, annoying dogs and ketchup. And the more the attacks go on, the more he continues to crumble. That's about it. Oh yeah, Fragmented Dirge also seems to take more inspiration from Help from the Void, so I guess we should cover that too. So Help from the Void is an AU which is basically Last Breath X Disbelief, but it also technically X Rejuvenation, but that barely has a role, so... Sans finds the Gaster door and asks Gaster to ensure Papyrus survives. He accepts and Rejuvenation basically happens. The human gets hasty and leaves Papyrus not completely dead, where Alphys patches him up, but fucks it up. So yeah, Papyrus returns home, finding Sans' jacket, and Sans left a note for him, saying that he's gone and may not return. So Papyrus runs around looking for Sans with the jacket, and then finds him in the Judgment Hall, where the fight begins. So you fight them together, and they both progress through their Last Breath and Disbelief phases. The reason I bring this AU up is for scenes like this, where Papyrus has LB, Sans and Gaster behind him as memories. And there's another reason I'll get to soon, but let's continue with the actual fight now. So there's a lot of backup members. Great, let's cover them. But this one's easy to cover, so let's go through it. Stand.exe is back. We spoke about him already, as his last stand, but in his phase 2 form. And Final Plan again too, making a return. And... so this is also an MCU Hooray AU. Basically it's Dust Dust X Last Breath X Flawless Genocide. That's about all there is to it. But they are paired up with... so this one I think called Fearless on MC Heroes Billy. Oh yeah, this is also one of their AUs. So, after 24 runs, Flowey got pissed and dodged your attack at the end of the 25th run. He then tells you he's tired of the failures and is no longer afraid of you. According to MC, the route doesn't have to be a Geno one, just as long as it's not a pacifist one. I guess this phase is the one that's ETO with fucking racism maxing Sans over here. Anyway, he'll eventually take a hit entering phase 2, and in phase 2, Flowey's DT revives at least a vision of Kara, I guess? After that, he escapes and absorbs the human souls, transforming into budget Astral Dreamer. Like, look at this shit, man. Anyway, he eventually defeats you. So next up is, oh great, more trios. I can't fucking escape them, release me from this torment. Murder Karmatic Time Trio is a combination of Karmatic Time Trio and Murder Time Trio. Crazy. So you have DTLG... shit, do I have to explain all these AUs now too? Fuck you. Undertale X Last Breath. Sans fires the Gaster door and enters looking for more victims but finds Gaster. Gaster reminds me of his Genocide. I wrote his apostrophe RE Genocides. What was I on? Gaster reminds me of his Genocide, and he vows to make sure this is the last Genocide. South Fistoflatning, Killer Sans X HM Sans. Not much more to say. So Horror Tail X UKB. I guess Horror Sans regenerates himself with Karma after the Horror Tail shenanigans happen, but Eliza pauses a Geno run, so he uses his Karma powers to stop you. That's literally everything I could find. So yeah, Murder Karmatic Time Trio, and then fuck another trio. Chaotic Former Time Trio. No, that's literally the name of the EU. It's a very creative name. So yeah, Last Breath and Call of the Void happen in the same timeline. They're pretty similar AUs anyway, but I guess this one's just Call of the Void happened so many times and now Call of the Void's in the Last Breath scenario. That's a complete guess to rationalise it in my mind, so don't take that as actual lore. Okay, I don't know if this guy is Regicide, however it's the only Dusttail X Betrayer take that I'm competent on. So Sans begins his Dusttail route but stops before the end of the ruins because you spared every monster you encountered. The route then continues as normal and you get the pacifist ending, and then you begin killing people on the surface. And so Sans resumes his Dusttail route on the surface. Yeah. I researched on this and I couldn't find specifically an insanity tiers in the rain take, but this OST video lists them as revert insanity, which would mean Sans was Insanity Sans but somehow regained his sanity, and I guess he's now remorseful for his actions before that point. That would make sense, I suppose. Half the time though I think these takes are just invented to be used in trios, so whatever. Tangent within a tangent over. So that was the last backup member. I swear some referenced FVULB, which is just Last Breath from an animation series. It's the same exact Sans Last Breath, except there's an extra phase 4 where Sans and Gaster fuse, but that's about it. It doesn't actually appear anyway, so I don't know why I'm telling you this. Papyrus gives up on fighting and gives you a final chance to spare him, as he would, but... what on earth is driving you to go that far? How much longer do I have to keep this up? Kyuseishu takes the hit for him. If you go by this animation, it's Yorbi specifically taking control of the fusion, which as I mentioned before closer links it to help from the void. But yeah, Papyrus gets pissed and now you get Painful Retribution, Disbelief phase 5, and the fight continues. And you can also see Final Save starting to take some multi damage and his save star. You flash back to every previous phase, which I swear has happened in every previous phase, But anyway, PPF uses the human souls. Everyone else is giving their all despite exhaustion. So yeah, all of them get hit and die in the end. So sad. Okay, I guess we should move on to the actual Phase 6 now. That's all unofficial phases out of the way too. So it's just canon stuff from here. After Chapter 1, since the experiment conducted in the Judgment Void had finished, time and space were reset automatically. Kara 2400 could find a space-time rift generated from the spatial collapse, and when avoid time-space turbulence. After passing through a space-time rift, they emerged into the other experimental sector in the Misery Abyss surface. Temporarily safe, Kara began to explore the sector. They obtained food in the simulated AUs, and refilled all their HP. Kara found the entrance to the Misery Abyss deep by chance when they were exploring the Misery Abyss surface. To avoid further exploration, OG took action, causing the beginner of Infinite Stories, all multiverse source, Undertale, to create a connection with the Misery Abyss, transferring original Sans' data load into the Judgment Void and granting him unknown abilities. Sans, with the help of Phase 5's undead souls, power began one final battle with Kara 2400. Original Sans, with the power of Phase 5 Soul's powers, is named Terminator. We're now in Chapter 2, and technically no longer in ETO, but fuck it, we're keeping on going. Now we're in the end and beginning. With ETO defeated, the experiment was over. Kara had reached level 2400, greedy bitch. The tricky bastard then found their way into a space-time rift that transported them to the surface of the Misery Abyss, and they began to explore. They found food, restored their HP, and they found the entrance to the Misery Abyss deep. That would be bad for OG. Here's a diagram of the Misery Abyss, by the way. OG, to prevent this, summoned fuck-ass Sans Undertale to the field. I don't need to do a stupid intro sequence for this guy. If you're watching this video, you know what Undertale is. And so you also know who Sans Deltarune is, so I don't need to delve into the basically canon at this point theory that they're the same person. Let's move on. Sans is given extra powers along with the lingering souls of the collapsed determination peeps, including the human souls with TUE Papyrus. In this state, he is no longer Sans. He is Terminator. Yeah, get the name now? That's another thing. There are so many different names for this song. This is the one I go with, not just because big words, but because he is the pioneer of all AUs. And because he is the first AU. And he's called Terminator. Yeah. The start of all stories. The beginner of all alternative universes. The terminator of your sins. Will give you the final judgment. It's still a beautiful day outside. Birds are singing. Flowers are blooming. On common days like these, I'll end everything that you have done. When we met for the first time, I thought that you could bring us a good ending. We could go to Grillby's together, we could eat hot dogs too. It isn't just a game for us. And so Terminator fights the human. He's like 2,381 levels too late, but oh well. OG gave him plot armor. Oh my god, that's a Betrayer reference. There's a flashback to the first time, the fall. For many years past, we always fought each other. Why can't you stop slaughtering? Why can't we become friends? The reset can take every bad thing. Is it really that hard to give us a good ending? That's enough. We also get memories of all of our friends from Undertale too, but they quickly fade. Dang. And the fight ends with the usual battle format, able to attack Terminator. The end. Except... After Plan A, Terminator got hit and activated Plan B to continue the battle with Kara 2400. Terminator absorbed the 6 souls and struck a chord with the souls from Chapter 1. Since the power of the undead souls was stronger than the one human soul, Terminator became a god. Kara 2400 didn't find or didn't use the chord disruptor. Due to OG's interference, Terminator could handle a large amount of determination without melting. As Terminator got more powerful, Kara 2400 got weaker. So Sans gets a HD update. Terminator then absorbs the human souls and resonates with the other souls. Since these souls altogether match the strength of a human soul, which, okay I guess, Terminator became a god. OG ensured Terminator could handle a ton of determination without melting and Phase 7 could begin. Or Plan B. I guess they're called plans now, not phases. During the battle, Terminator absorbed Kara 2400's determination, forcing his determination to be stronger than Kara's, and took control of the timeline. At the end of Plan B, Terminator used strong power to defeat Kara. So as the fight goes on, Terminator is a god, and OG has his magic hands to keep him alive as his determination grows. Eventually he surpasses Kara's determination, which he must have a huge amount to surpass 2400 LV in determination. But he does. Apparently according to the description, he steals Kara's determination. So that's fun. So he uses a strong attack to defeat Kara, but the attack is so strong it also destroys the Judgment Void. And if you'll remember, this was the point of OG's experiment in the first place, to test the capacity of the Misery Abyss. In fact, this attack was so strong that it destroyed the whole surface of the Misery Abyss. OG did what he said he would and rolled back the Misery Abyss to restore it, and now his goal is to just destroy Kara completely, but without taking the Abyss with them. So the experiment was rolled back. In the OST itself there's a flashback section of every member of ETO who died. So fun. After the collapse of the Misery Abyss surface, OG had to restart the Misery Abyss surface, loading the save from before the battle between Terminator and Kara, and improving Terminator's thinking, avoiding Misery Abyss surface from collapse. Terminator used the undead souls to fight with Kara 2400 again. Due to the improvements in his mindset, Terminator struck chords with the undead souls, one by one in advance and transform souls into weapons to fight. And now we're in this phase again, which will also be a short enough section, since for the most part it's the same. Actually, I lied, this ends up being like twice as long as the previous two sections. Fallen stars tear through the night's woven curtain. Stardust settles upon my form. Within the void's boundless rift, an indomitable will is rising. The sunset afterglow rests upon my shoulders, condensing into an amber of dawn's own hue. So much has come to pass since then. This tale must find its final close. Let this be both the beginning and the end. The end and the beginning, such is its nature. Terminator returns to fight in Phase 6, which is also technically Phase 8, but also not. Either way, OG gives Terminator more knowledge and improved thinking for the battle with Kara. After what they see in Plan B this way, Terminator strikes a close accord with the Lost Souls, and can use them all as more effective weapons, including those from the previous phases, or diffuse fusions. Whispers of former days like drifting sand fade from the heart. Irretrievable they depart, wishes for the past ahead like starlight piercing through the mist, growing ever clearer. The strokes of good and evil paint freely on the scroll of fate. Let's see your new friend. The wheel turns, nothing is new. Stories being constantly distorted and altered. Despite all the struggling, it's futile to change the outcome. All alone, still with no one to rely on, and I have long been tired of all this. All of us from the same beginning to the same final confrontation, all nothing but a vain dream. You never change, always the same. Wherever you go, suffering and wailing follow. It's a waste of breath talking to a person like you. Whether it's chaotic, karmatic, formal, or murder, all of this will meet the true final chapter. Terminator launched the final attack with all of his allies, but OG implemented the determination chord, which he said he would once the allies against Kara's determination reached similar levels to each other. This was also present for Kara in the original Phase 6, but they didn't use it because they either couldn't find it or chose not to. Here, however, with the overwhelming power of the Santas, they do. You use the chord disruptor. The chord was disrupted. It's the actual dialogue. Sans' connection with the other souls was disrupted, rendering him powerless. Memories flash by of all of his old friends from a pacifist timeline. Yeah, I'm not going to do voice acting for all of these because I've embarrassed myself enough with my voice acting in this video. So, here are subtitles instead. Back to Terminator, you attack him. In the beginning of the battle, Executor would display a melting appearance. The melting substance dropping onto the ground would form like the dead in Chapter 1, but without self-awareness. They would attack Kara 2400, and in the latter half of the battle, Terminator fused with the Executor and mutated. During the battle, Kara 2400 learns about the deeper layer and the human soul storage room's existence. Facing the Terminator, Kara 0.5 understood that they had no chance of winning, so they decided to bet it all. While selling a small amount of determination, they decided to pretend that all their determination had been drained, which got OG to place their soul into the human soul storage room to reach the deep layer. Finally, Kara 0.5's soul was saved in the human soul storage room. The husk of Terminator was thrown into the misery abyss deep. Without Terminator's power, Executor was broken up and the souls dispersed. I don't know who Executor is, they just kind of appear in the description here. Maybe I missed a phase, I don't know. But since OG is the only other person besides Terminator and Kara present, I'm going to assume that it's just another name for them. And I'm going to refer to them as OG. One more thing, this is listed as OSC 28 in the previous 26. I can't find OSC 27 anywhere, so I'm assuming that this is just Rising again. Unless maybe that explains who Executor is if it's not a translation error. But I don't know. I'll look into it. And probably append it here if I do find anything. Okay, so OG's getting pretty weak, given the amount of power being shown Terminator and the determination cord. Later in the phase, OG and Terminator fuse and mutate into that. As the battle continues, Kara learns the deeper layer of the misery abyss and the storage room for the human souls there. The fusion weakens Kara and bringing them down to LB 0.5, skill issue I guess. Then they finally begin to think, maybe I can't win this fight, and so they pretend their DT is completely drained. OG then took their soul and placed it in a canister deeper in the misery abyss, the soul storage room. OG then unfused from Terminator and threw them down there too. The souls dispersed and OG was back in control. That's where the story of Ending Time Octet ends and the story of Immiserable Hell begins. As I said, this is where I'm stopping. Rereading it now, maybe Executor was the fusion between OG and Terminator, but it says specifically that Executor fused with Terminator, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, now that was a long ass video, but informative. I hope you all learned something. This is definitely the longest video I've made, and the word count works out to 19,702, goddamn. Well, if you watch the whole video, like, how? You must have this on in the background when you play Minecraft or something, which is probably how the video is intended to be, really. That's also most of my videos, I suppose. It's how I'd watch them. My editing's not professional in the slightest, but I hope you had fun either way. Watching me yap about Ending Time Octet for God knows how long, I really did try my best to research as fully as possible, cover the entirety of Ending Time Octet, all 3 seasons, and I tried to order it best as possible, so I hope the timestamps help with that. So anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. I'm not sure what my next video will be. My next major project video will be anyway. Maybe the Dr. Megalo one you all actually voted for. I hope this video does well. I spent so fucking long on it. I expect it will be the longest, highest effort video I make for a good long while. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day, morning, noon, afternoon, evening, or night. If night, go to fucking sleep. I might stay up till 4 AM writing this, but you need your sleep. Anyway, the description lists all the abbreviations I'll use, as I said. If you get confused, it's there. If I made any mistakes, comment them below so I can pin a comment to amend them as notes. Oh hey, 20,000 words. Fuck yeah. Okay, ready to talk seriousness. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, etc. I hope this video does well, because I spent so fucking long on it. Anyway, bye for real this time.